Today, I'm honored to introduce you to my dear friend, Jared Hamilton. I met Jared in 2016, so 10 years ago, which is wild. And quickly, I realized he's one of the most kind, caring, honest, empathetic, and hardworking individuals in the fitness industry. He's a devoted husband, incredible coach, creator of dieting from the inside out, and I'm blessed to have him here with me today. Jared Hamilton, welcome to the podcast, brother.
I am honored to be here, my friend. This is awesome.
So just to start off, simple question. Who are you?
I'm Jared Hamilton. Right now, 34 and born and raised in the Midwest, if you can't hear that.
I can't hear it anymore. 10 years ago, I could hear it.
10 years ago, you're like, bro, you sound like a cowboy. At the end of the day, I'm just a regular person with this stuff, the way that I like to view it. Like some of the things that I'll talk whenever I'm chatting with clients or people online is they'll say like, it's almost like you're a real person with this. And I think that's just, it's sad that the industry is where it's almost like this holier than thou, or I don't struggle with these things either. Cause the whole concept of around everything I've created with what I solve, like with coaching and content, it's because I've been through it. Every single one of the things that I teach about, I've struggled with personally. So at the end of the day, I'm just a normal guy, but that I've found my way with some of this stuff. And then I just feel like it's my mission to help people get on the other side themselves.
What misconceptions do people on social media have about you?
About me personally?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I think it's that from the feedback I'll get from people, it's that like I think some people don't think that that either like any struggles come up or like I've never struggled with other stuff in the past. If someone doesn't know like my story, like I was given a Weight Watchers book at 11 and that's when all my stuff started. Or I struggled with my own stuff like dieting and my relationship with food all the way up until I was about 20. So a lot of people, until they've heard like the origin story, they don't realize a lot of that. They're just like, oh, you just teach this stuff. We're like, nah, bro. Like I've struggled with this more than most people. So
I think it's one of the, listen, I have many gripes with social media, but one of the great things about social media is I feel like it's given people an opportunity to be more open and honest with their struggles. Whereas, I mean, it still happens in social media. Some people pretend like everything is perfect and they have no struggles. But before social media, it was just big companies. And big companies would just show, this is what you could have, the most amazing life. You could have without any struggles whatsoever. All the commercials, infomercials, advertising, it just appeared like everything was great all the time. But with social media now, you have independent creators. There are a small number, but a significant number of people like yourself who share everything openly and let people know that they're not alone, which is super important.
Yeah. A struggle that I've had is balancing, whereas I want to share, like especially in the past, I think it's easier to share like struggles and what's gone on. But if like something comes up present day, I find it's harder to struggle with sharing, where it's the balance of how do I share this to make people know they're not alone, no one's perfect and all of this, but also not coming across as like a poor me victim. So that's why sometimes I naturally err on the side of, oh, I should probably share that because I'm afraid of coming across like, I don't want this to be like a sob story or a victim or a whatever, but I still think it's important to share.
Yeah.
This is what's actually going on.
And no matter what you share, some people are going to hate it and some people are going to love it.
Right.
So for some people, they'll view it from whatever lens they decide to view it from. And so some people will be like, oh, he's just playing the victim card, or he's trying to get a sob story, or poor me. And other people will be like, wow, I really appreciate you sharing that because I'm struggling with the same thing. And I'm scared to tell my family, my friends about it. What is something you used to believe, but you no longer do, fitness or otherwise?
I mean, I used to believe what comes up first is like every old school diet rule, like carbs are bad, fruits are bad, sugar stores fat, insulin is the fat storing demon. 6 meals a day is boost your metabolism fire. Like every one of like the stereotypical things I used to fully believe. Like what's funny is I was going back the other day to find like those clips I was telling you about for early on in my podcast. And I found all my old YouTube videos and there's literally videos of me going through like a grocery store. Like, yeah, don't eat this. Sugar's bad.
No way.
Sugar stores fat. And so I think I'm going to like do reaction style videos to all my old content.
Are you going to remove them or are you keeping them up?
No, I'm keeping them, them up. But I think, if I made reaction, like
Smart.
I hate reaction content in general. People who build their following from that.
Agreed.
That's its whole other tangent. But I think it would be funny to go back to
do it to yourself.
All my old videos when I was like, sugar stores fat. Like, actually, no, it doesn't. So
I want to get it. You just mentioned it, and this is literally the first question I was going to get into. You said you grew up with a Weight Watchers mom, and when you were 11, she gave you a Weight Watchers book. Can you give the backstory here and what happened afterward?
Yeah, I mean, so let me just preface it. I love my mom. She was doing the best she could. All of that stuff. And I know I would not be where I'm at right now if I did not go through some of the struggles that I went through when I was younger. But growing up, I was a fat kid. I came out, like, the joke is like, I came out of the womb like chunky or whatever. I was a husky kid. I was Eeyore. I was
Eeyore.
Yeah.
Did kids call you Eeyore?
My mom did.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, you want to talk about like deep down identities and labels where this is why one of the big things I talk about is your identity and the role that plays, is because if we have an identity and a belief system based on who we identify with or the version that is, we unconsciously act in congruence with it. So if your identity is a struggler, a dieter, Eeyore, a binger, whatever, it's no wonder when you go on mental autopilot, it just happens unconsciously. So, but I struggled, I genetically struggled from out the gate. Like I was always like the heavier kid, whatever. And so with that being said, then when I started going through this and I noticed insecurity coming up when I was little, my mom was a Weight Watcher. So she's like, here, just start counting points. So I remembered like getting this, like almost like you'd buy it like the grocery store, like a little Weight Watcher book where it shows you how to calculate your points and how to like start on all that. So I would start doing that. And then all of a sudden, like, before it was mainstream, like my food noise turned on because I realized, oh, I can't eat anything. That 300 calorie muffin is half my points for the day, or just, it's all top of mind. And then just, I would see how the behavior that would be modeled, where like mom would not hardly eat all week because she was counting points. And then when she'd fall off, then all of a sudden, like, screw it, I'll start over Monday. And so from an early age, that's what was modeled to me. So that's where all of my stuff started. But then fast forward, that just set up the next trendy diet, the next diet culture thing, and so on. And that literally lasted going through most of my early teenage years. Even when I started finding the gym and things when I was like 16, I was still like, when I did the gym I joined, it was a bodybuilder gym. So it was like, I remember like roided out meatheads it was like a brotherhood, but it was like some of the worst advice ever. It was carb, store fat, eat 6 meals a day, a dozen eggs a day. You've got to do that, like all of this stuff. So it was just like one disordered thing to the next, to the next, to the next. But fast forward to today, I wouldn't be in the position I'm at if I didn't go through that myself.
Yeah, of course. So it makes sense now. I love the skits that you do on Instagram where, if you have a Weight Watchers mom.
Oh yeah.
Do you ever get any people who are mad at you for those types of skits, not understanding, like, you're telling your story?
It's interesting. Overabundantly, no. Believe it or not, it's mostly positive feedback. Every now and then I get oh, you're calling out all moms and how horrible they are. But in the grand scheme of how many views those skits have got, we're talking about less than like a percent. It's which is crazy. But what's interesting though is, and I have to be careful with like how much I post those now, is because of the traffic it brings to my page. I actually end up having to put an age requirement on my Instagram because it was those skits would be either attracting the average 45-year-old mom who like I serve in my coaching program, or 14-year-olds, where like a lot of this is still so prevalent, where it would be, my DMs would start to become full of 15-year-olds like, hey, my mom is who you're depicting in this. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, this is a really interesting position.
So they have an age requirement button that you can press?
Yep.
So people can't follow you unless they're 18?
So basically it just makes it harder. So deep in Instagram settings, I can go in and set a minimum age requirement.
Oh, that's smart.
And that way I can make it where it won't just populate. If I have something that might pop up on the explore page, but otherwise they can't follow me. They can't like really absorb my content. So
smart.
But because of the overabundance of younger people, I had to put an age restriction on.
So can you dive more in, just more detail, more in depth in regard to like what your childhood and teens looked like in terms of the myths that you followed, the things that you fell for, the things that you struggled with whether it was binge eating or whatever it was. Just talk about that.
So I was absorbing as much as I could. I was getting the magazines, reading the articles, watching the videos. I remember being like 14 years old, 15 years old, watching a bodybuilder YouTube video about how to, when you read a nutrition label, the calories from fat should not exceed like 20% of the total. Like it was this crazy, like I was so in the depths of all the advice from everything. So like, I remember the one that pops out, it's so silly now, was that I remember there was a magazine that I saw or an article I read, and it was like the top foods you should not eat while driving.
That's so specific.
I'm like, oh, so driving my car makes me store fat. And like apples was at the top of the list.
I was thinking like soup. From like a practical perspective.
Right. No, it was literally like the foods that store fat while driving.
Stop.
And it was like apples was number one.
Why apples? Because it has sugar?
Sugar. And then French fries was number two. Like it didn't make any sense. So
those are like two of the best foods to eat when you're driving. They're so easy to eat.
Right. Well, but otherwise, all the stuff that I did was like, the short answer is everything. I'd play the low carb game, the low fat game, to eat 6 meals a day. I remember even when I was in college, I would have my my lunch pack of the same exact chicken, rice, and broccoli. I'd have on a timer that went off every 2 hours. I would have to eat. The whole diet culture stuff, like all of that, I did all of it. Now, my specific struggles, I struggled with binge eating. I struggled with cheat day mentality, where I would like restrict all week. And then I would, the way I actually describe it is I planned my cheat days more than I would plan my wife's birthday. I'm talking about like, I was like, oh boy, I'm going to go to this bakery, then I'm going to go here for lunch, and I'm going to go get this at the store, then I'm going to hit here for dinner.
Yeah.
It was the most premeditated thing. And I convinced myself it was fine because it was a cheat day. They boost your metabolism. It's what the bodybuilders at the gym told you to do. So that there's a level of emotional eating. Like emotional eating is one of the biggest things I talk about. But I would either oscillate between emotional eating, where I would just be stressed, sad, whatever, and I would hide it with food, or I would shut it down and be productive. So I would just like either not eat. And for me, it was actually like certain emotions I would want to emotionally eat, certain emotions I would not be hungry at all.
What were those emotions?
So like if I was stressed or anxious, where it was more future focused, like, or a project or a deadline thing, I wouldn't be hungry at all. And I would just go work. And I got good at shutting down my emotions with productivity. Or if it was, let's say, sad, then I would totally go like raid the pantry. So it was just interesting, like looking back, that the emotion dictated whether I went to food or not. Versus some people, it's like any emotion is food. Any negative emotion is food. But for me, it was stress and anxiety was, no, we're just going to go work. Or like sadness, apathy, those kind of things, I would absolutely go hide that with food.
Is that because stress and anxiety for you were more about finances, were more about like where you wanted to be in the future, and sadness was more like, I don't even know how to describe
Past?
it.
I'm not sure. I think, I don't know if we get down to it, a lot of certain emotions are more survival based. So like, I don't know if it was because I was in like fight or flight with stress and anxiety, and sadness wasn't. I also, like, from a more childhood stuff, I grew up like working with my dad when I was like 13. I started doing construction with a very emotionless dad. So I learned to like, we just work. It doesn't matter what you feel. You just shut that shit down and you get to work. So there's probably some like childhood conditioning that went into it. But I think just some of it is just how the body, then like the body keeps scores accurate, and how that just goes in certain emotions. I would be like, ooh, I'm okay eating these sorrows away, versus these emotions, the coping mechanism was productivity, work, make shit happen, whatever.
You bring up the cheat days. I get like almost nostalgia thinking about it, even though it was so bad. But you and I, we're both 34. So we grew up in the same era of fitness. And for people who more recently got into fitness, I'm sure there are still people who talk about it, like cheat days, but not like back then.
No.
It was so common. It was the go-to advice. I remember reading on like tnation.com. And do you remember that website?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember on
A buddy of mine writes for it.
Yeah. Oh, is it still around? Oh, wow. Okay. Man, I remember all these articles being like, yep, you eat clean all week, and you have one day, and you eat literally whatever you want in whatever quantity you want. I remember I would go get like General Tso's chicken and it would have my deadlifts. Then I'd just eat like gargantuan quantities because you've starved yourself all week. And then it's like, great, now you have a free day. And it's funny, like, to watch that progression in the fitness industry, because over probably like a 2 to 3 year window, people are like, oh, I'm getting fat.
Right.
This one day I can do a lot
Literally.
of damage.
Yeah. Like that 300 calorie deficit you're in Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter when you're slamming a Papa John's pizza on Friday, like a whole thing of Ben and Jerry's, like
Yes.
3-4 things of Ben and Jerry's on Saturday, and then like a buffet for days on
Yeah.
Sunday. Like, yeah,
And
totally.
it's conditioning you to binge eat. It's literally teaching you, like, okay, so you're going to restrict, and then you're just going to eat well past the point of fullness. You're not going to listen to your hunger cues. You're just going to eat as much as you can because you know tomorrow you're going to start starving yourself again.
Yeah. There's so much psychology that goes into that. And like, I think the biggest thing that makes it so detrimental and so sneaky, it's like death by 1,000 cuts versus like a bleeding neck wound, is the validation people can give themselves and to feel better when they go, I'm already off. I'm just going to get it out of my system. It's just one more. And then I'll start back over. But then this happens every week or 2 weeks or multiple times a week. But it feels in the moment like not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I've already messed up. We already have a problem because you're never messed up. This is not like a football game that's over. Like, you lost. Is your one bite away from getting back on track. But it's that, but then I'm just going to get it out of my system. And then I'm going to start back over. There's so much wrong with that. And that you are training your brain and your own psychology. Like in that, then it's no wonder you just repeat that on autopilot.
It's very difficult because when you're making great decisions nutritionally and just health in general, like every decision, especially early on, or if it's something you struggle with, it's a lot. It takes up a huge amount of your mental space, your emotional space, your physical time, you're thinking about it. So every decision is often seen as like, all right, I'm either making a good decision or a bad decision. And so if you spend even just one day of like, all right, I'm going to have the salad, or I'm going to have the apple, I'm going to have this, it's like a devastatingly emotionally draining day. And then you have that one day or one meal where you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna let it go. That goes by in a snap.
Yeah.
Like, you eat that meal, you eat that day, and it goes by so quickly. And then you're back to, oh, well, now I have to suffer again. It feels like, to the individual, it feels like they spent so much more time and being so quote unquote good that it justifies now just throwing all caution to the wind, which it again conditions them to have this horrible relationship with food. You had mentioned college. What did you study in college?
Kinesiology.
Okay, amazing. And did you like that?
Yes and no. So my intention going to college was to be a physical therapist.
Okay.
That's what I fully thought I was going to go do. But then I was never like super passionate about it. I was like, this sounds the most tolerable of careers that are out there that make me an okay living, which is totally the way you should plan your life. So, but then the math didn't math. I go, wait, I could be a physical therapist. Let's say I'll make let's say 80 to 120 a year, but I'll go 200 grand in debt. Okay. That math doesn't math. And then right around that time was when they switched the requirement to a doctorate degree. So I go, okay, I don't think I want to be a physical therapist anymore, because it was just never my path, so to speak. But then throughout that process, I found kinesiology and I found personal training, and my life was never the same. I fell in love with kinesiology. I was a nerd with how the body worked, biomechanics, all that stuff. Like, oh, I can do this and move more, better, punch harder, whatever. And then one of the prereqs for my class was the school I went through had a partnership with NASM, and they actually brought in, and you did a full semester basically prepping to be a personal trainer. And it was like, we had practicals, they partnered with a local gym, and you would like build programs for your classmates and you would train each other. It was so in depth, which is kind of surprising. Like NASM did that, like, you know? So, but I fell in love with it. I go, oh, this is dope. And then you could get certified at the end of class or at the end of the semester. And I think I was like the only one in my class that did it. Like, okay, whatever. So I did it. And then I go, oh, I don't have to get a normal job. I can literally just like train people between classes while I'm getting my degree and all this stuff. One thing led to another. I was a trainer at 3 different gyms, including the mom and pop in my hometown. That didn't have a huge member base. So like that didn't just like blow up, but I was working for like a giant university gym, like a 14,000 member YMCA, the university gym. And on the side, I was working at a Papa John's and doing construction with my dad, like all,
Jeez.
yeah. So I was just like going. But then one thing led to another. And as I became more successful and the business took off and I started like making a decent living, I was just dropping everything. Like I quit working here. I'd quit the pizza shop and all the stuff. And then it got to the point where I was just solely in person at my local mom and pop. I was completely self-employed. I was training like 200 sessions a month, 4:30 A to 9 p, had a cot in the tanning bedroom to power nap, like the whole works. So
When we first met, or around the time that we first met, you were prepping for a bodybuilding show. You want to talk about that?
yeah, I never did it. I was. This was towards the end of the bodybuilding era. So when you and I met, it was because I was like, I'm tired of in-person training. I need help getting this business online. And that's when I ironically found who this Jordan Syatt guy was. And so, but around that time, it was right when I started creating content. It was right when I was still in that bodybuilding era. And so all I was making videos on was like how to deadlift right, how to deadlift wrong. It was still in the infographic stage of Instagram back in the day and stuff. So there was all of that. But then even prepping for that bodybuilding show, like it was so disordered. It was not okay. Like I look back at photos and like my neck is like super long. I weighed like what was next to nothing, which was still like 170 pounds. But I was like, I looked ill. And then there was all that. So, but I never ended up doing the bodybuilding show because I still wasn't lean enough for it. A friend of mine was an IFBB pro and I go, hey, can you, am I on track? And he goes, no, you're a good off season. And I go, fuck. Okay. So, but then I'm like, I don't think I actually want this. I think I was doing it for ego and vanity reasons and all this. And then I never did it. And then I went to fix my relationship with food. So
that was one of the, I don't think I ever told you this. That was one of the things that impressed me most about you early on, because you had publicly said, I'm going to do this bodybuilding show.
I documented the whole thing.
You documented the whole thing. And then I forget if it was like 8 weeks out, 12 weeks out, at a certain point, you're like, hey guys, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not lean enough for this endeavor and this isn't right for me, which is a wildly impressive thing to do. Most people, if they say they're going to do it, even if in their heart and soul they know this isn't good for me, they're going to do it just because they'll often frame it as, well, it's dedication. I said I have to do it. It's like, if you know that it's not good for you and it's only feeding into disordered eating, disordered behaviors, I think it takes far more strength to then publicly say, hey, you know what? This actually isn't serving me. This is actively hurting me. And that's what you did. And I thought that was one of the most amazing things. And it set an incredible example for those who are following you. And obviously now you have a much bigger audience. But at the time, like, everyone following you, whether they realized it or not, got to see that you got to make that decision for yourself, and you got to say publicly, I said I was going to do this, and this is not good for me. I'm supposed to get leaner for what? So that these judges can like rate me on a scorecard compared to other naked dudes on the stage. Like, but it's a joke, but it's like, it's very impressive. And I think it's important for people to hear that. Just because you say you're going to do something doesn't mean you have to do it if it's actively harming you. Now, we could go the other way and be like, listen, when you say you're going to do something, you do it. But I think about it like with my daughters. Like if my daughter joins a sports team and she's like, hey, I want to do this activity or whatever it is, I want to do this sport. It's like, the way that I would frame it, if halfway through the season she's like, I don't want to do this anymore, have a conversation around why. And if it's like, oh, I don't know, I'm just not having as much fun. It's like, listen, we're going to see it through this season. You made that commitment. But if it's actively harming you, you get to make that choice. You get to say, this is not good for me. And people who listen regularly know I'm not a big fan of the bodybuilding physique world in general. No. And do you just want to give some insight into that world, what you experienced? Like, I know you didn't actively compete, but you were around that world.
I was obsessed with it for years. So bodybuilding used to be the only sport I would follow. More than like fighting or grappling or UFC or anything like that. I was like, I knew every top competitor by name. I would go to the Arnold Classic. I would get pictures with these. I was engulfed in that world. And the gym I went to was a bodybuilder gym. I think it is, how to put, I think people have no idea how potentially devastating that world can be. Now, granted, are there some people who can go through it unscathed? Yes. I'm actually maybe interviewing one of them. Like a guy that I actually respect a lot in that world who seems to also have a great relationship with food, balanced relationships, but he's also a top Olympia competitor. And I was actually going to bring him on my show. And so him and I can talk about like, how are you doing this without destroying yourself? But I think for the 99% of people, it is detrimental. I think most people have no idea how rigid, extreme, strict, disordered the whole works. Like when you are getting down to not just counting calories and macros, when you're like, how much salt am I putting on this? How much water am I having today? Let me get to this, my physique, to a point that I will forever view this as a benchmark that I can never attain sustainably. Like one of the demographics that we coach a lot, ironically, in my program, which is strictly about fixing food noise, getting free around food, ending binge eating, and sustainable fat loss, is ex-competitors. I will get a fair amount of ex-competitors. They're like, I used to bodybuild, and from that moment forward, if I'm not stage lean, I'm not good enough.
Correct.
If I'm so scared of they've almost got like PTSD around all of this stuff where it's like, I can't track calories without going crazy disordered. Sugar literally makes me feel like I ran over someone's dog because I feel so guilty eating it. And it's just the most horrendous thing. But then it's from a psychology side, but then you get all this dopamine and all this, oh my gosh, you look so great. You look so great. You look so great. You won the trophy. You're the best physique ever. And then if you're not that, what are these people going to think? And it's so dangerous. So I think most people don't realize it, because even in the day and age of social media, most of these bodybuilders are not sharing that. They're just sharing the highlights. I even have friends who literally have said, hey, I basically do a bodybuilding prep and take 300 pictures, and that's my Instagram for the next year. Like, oh, so that your audience doesn't know you go from like 3% body fat to 20, and you don't share any of that. You don't share your binges. You don't share any of that. So I think most people have no idea how dark that world can be. And very few people, in my opinion, can go through it unscathed, especially if you do not have I would argue, perfect relationship with food going into it. My whole thing, my general belief is you have to earn the right to lose weight in general. I think you should have to have a checklist of, you have to fix your relationship with food, not have food noise, have a no binge eating, feel free around food, have mastery of moderation, all these checklists before you go, cool, I'm going to start losing weight. For most people, they do those things, they'll lose weight. But before you go, I'm going to start a diet, we have to have that foundational stuff in place. I think it is 1,000x if it's considering a bodybuilding show, if you're considering getting into the physique competition world. So
with every ounce of my heart and soul, I agree with everything you just said. And I'll also even add, let's say, I know many people who started off with what I would consider an unbelievably good relationship with food. Then they're like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this show. And they do it, and then they're devastated by it. And even if you start off with no food noise, no issues with hunger, no issues with neuroticism around calorie count, any of that, then they do the show, and all of a sudden it takes up every waking moment of their life. And I've seen countless people who they continue to do show after show, not because they love it, but because they're scared of getting fat. And they know the show is the one thing that gets them to dial in their mind with their nutrition, so they can stay that lean as long as possible. And they get addicted to the dopamine hit of people saying, oh my gosh, you look so good. And to your point of people having no clue, bro, they have no idea. And it's not their fault. It's because most of these people lie about what they're doing. They have no idea they're doing 3 hours of cardio like every day. They have no idea that they're eating 1,200, 1,100, 900, 800 calories in preparation for this. They have no idea about the performance enhancing drugs that they're taking and not disclosing it. And by the way, I'm not just talking about like TRT, HRT. I'm talking about like very, very extreme drugs.
Like Trendeca.
Yes, that
whole works,
that can
Anavar, like all of it.
All of it. But even like they can have unbelievably horrific side effects, not least of which, never mind dying as a result of it, which happens all too often in that world. But then like insomnia, because you can't fucking sleep because these drugs, like you hear, oh, this drug will speed up your metabolism, and which it does, but also your heart's gonna be beating out of your chest because you can't go to bed at night. People have no idea. And one of the things I've seen that infuriates me, even with people who aren't maybe actively competing, is you'll see these people who are very, very lean, who are small, like 120, 130 pounds. And like, look at my 4,000 calorie day. And I'm like, number one, you're a fucking liar.
Right.
Number two is like, you're not telling people that in order to eat this many calories at that body weight and that body fat, you're doing 2, 3, 4, 5+ hours of cardio every single day. It's this lack of disclosure, but it's also difficult because when people often start getting into the fitness world, bodybuilding and physique is the first thing they see. That's like when you ask people who don't know anything about strength training or fitness or whatever, you think of strength training, they think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, they think of bodybuilding. So it's like that's the first route people will often go down when they get into this world.
Yeah. Even to further that, I've seen in every gym I've ever trained in, as soon as you start to look good, everyone and their brothers is, oh, you should compete. I cannot tell you how, as soon as like someone loses 20 pounds, oh, you should compete. Oh, you should do a physique show. But if they said, oh, you should, and then lay out all the things, like you should do 3 hours of cardio a day, take all these different drugs,
yes,
do this, do that. You should totally do that. I think there's just a complete misnomer entirely, for sure.
Obviously, you know who Phil Heath is. I'm assuming you saw within the last year or two, he made a video talking about how he has severe body dysmorphia. And I just thought it was amazing that he opened up about it because he's literally arguably the greatest bodybuilder of all time.
Right? Literally, he has, I think he's either 7 or 8. He matched Arnold's record.
Yeah, 7 or 8 Olympias.
Yeah.
Insane.
Like it's in the best body in the world, 8 years in a row. Like
insane. And he there he was in his car just being like, hey, I have body dysmorphia. Sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's better, but I have body dysmorphia. And I was like, thank you for fucking saying that. The literal champ of the champ of the champ of the champs. And I don't know. It's just, I don't think people understand. People in the moment might think, oh, I'm not where I want to be. And if I just look like that, then I'll finally love myself. It's like, if you start to look like that, you're not going to see yourself, number one, how you look. You don't understand what you have to do to look like that.
Yeah. But also like if we start to put happiness on the outside of something, we never reach it because it's wherever you go, there you are. So if you're wherever you go, if you're like, oh, I hate myself, let me just look good, you're just going to hate yourself in a different container. It doesn't change.
So you talk a lot about food noise. I think it's really important. Can you define food noise, explain what it is, why it happens, and how people who struggle with it can improve their relationship with food?
Yeah, I have a slightly different perspective on food noise. And I would argue it's one of the biggest things people come to me for. Is if I had to give the Jared definition of food noise, is the constant mental chatter in your head around food, whether that be calories, full, not full, full next meal, whatever, because everyone I've also noticed experiences food noise differently. What I mean by that is you ask one person, food noise is all about hunger. You have someone else, food noise has nothing to do with hunger. For some, it has to do with when's my next meal. I'm thinking about my next meal while I'm eating this meal. For some, it's being so obsessive around what the scale is going to say after this meal. For some, it's how many grams of it's all of that. So that's why I try not to like pigeonhole it of like, oh, it is only this. It is, if I were to say the ruminating thoughts of all this food stuff that cannot stop or you cannot shut your brain off. For me, my thing is this, is food noise is never the actual issue. Food noise is a sounding alarm of a deeper issue going on, just like the smoke detector in your house. As in, if you woke up, imagine you're in bed, smoke detector goes off, and waking up and going, oh, I should shut that off. And you take the batteries out. You wouldn't do that. If you woke up at 3 a.m, your smoke detector is going off, you would go, you can keep going. Where's the fire? You would immediately go to search where the source of this is at and where the fire is. For the vast majority of people, that's how I believe food noise is. Do I believe there's a small subset of people who have, let's say, actual food addiction and deeper things around like wild disordered things like that need to be addressed a little bit differently? Yes. But I also believe, just from like the work that I've done with people over the last 15 years, is the overabundance of people have a wildly poor relationship with food, wildly messed up psychology around food, awful habits around food, and it is no wonder they have food noise. And at the time of recording this, I have yet to meet I could be proven wrong with this. I have yet to meet a single person who has food noise who doesn't have a bad relationship with food. Like whenever, again, this is just the conversations I'm having with people. Again, I'm sure there's outliers, but most people who I have talked with who have like debilitating food noise. I'm not talking about just like a little bit of like being mindful of what they're eating, tracking calories, macros, whatever. I'm talking about who cannot function because they cannot stop thinking about food. They're laying in bed, watching the ceiling fan go, thinking about their meals for tomorrow and hyperfixating, who doesn't have a poor relationship with food and poor habits around food.
Yeah, I think that's, when you separate it into a spectrum, it is a spectrum. Like, so there, I think everyone has some level of food noise. Like, as soon as you start thinking about, okay, well, if you're hungry and what's my next meal, we could consider that food noise, but that's like a very normal amount. Whereas on the other extreme end, where it's like, it's all you think about, you get anxious about what am I going to eat? You get worried about going out to dinner with your friends and family because you don't know, you don't want to blow your calories. You're like, you just ate a whole meal and you're not hungry, but now you're still thinking about what am I going to eat? Or you ate a meal, you should be full, but you're still hungry. It's like this is a more extreme end. So I think when you get to the more extreme end of the spectrum, I think it's impossible to have a healthy relationship with food if you have extreme food noise. Like
for sure.
It's impossible. So how do you help people remove that noise or dull that noise or fix the smoke alarm?
We have to figure out what the actual core issue is. Is it because you view food as certain foods good or bad inherently, like I used to do, like where you think sugar is somehow literally Satan, and you are now going to your kid's birthday party and now you're having to have birthday cake and you're like, oh my God, like, is it wrong beliefs around food? Is it your habits are just disordered or unsustainable? Like you're eating 1,000 calories a day because that's what your favorite fit influencer is saying? Is it we're hiding our emotions with food? This is one of the ones that I see is most common that has nothing to do with food, is when people hide their emotions with food. So every negative emotion, you go to food, you experience negative emotions all day as a normal human. Let me think about how much you get stressed in just your day to day. If every time you do that, you go to food, you're going to have food noise. It's there. We have to get to the bottom of where is the food noise coming from? A lot of times I'll ask someone, it sounds weird. I go, what's it saying? Food noise, if you're referring to it as a sound in your head, what's it saying?
It's a good question.
Is it like I have food noise? Cool. Is it, tell me about the noise. Like if I hear noise in my headset right now, Mitch would go, well, is it a ringing? Is it a buzzing? Does it sound electric? Does it sound like a hum? Because he can't figure out what to stop the noise in my headset if I don't describe the noise to him. I view food noise the same way. I go, cool. What's it saying? Are you freaking out about your next meal? Okay, well then that tells me maybe what we're doing isn't sustainable, or maybe we're not present, or maybe there's all these different things it could be. Or if it's, I feel guilty about eating this. Okay, well now we probably have a poor relationship with food and a perspective around food because you're feeling guilty about eating your daughter's birthday cake. Like there's so many of these little nuances, but at the end of the day, I like to ask, what's it saying? Where's it coming from? And then we can start to pick that apart and go get to the bottom of that. But if I had to give like the common reasons on how to get to the bottom is what you're doing sustainable and practical. Is your relationship with food good? And if it's not, why is it not good? And then get to the bottom of that vertical. Is it the emotional side? Like I just did a training for our clients on like all these reasons where food noise has nothing to do with food. It's all emotional. It's not being present. It's all these other things going on where you're using food to fill a void. Let's say that you're not getting in your marriage. It could even be like whatever this emotional side that's going on, and food is just the easiest go-to. So we have to get to each of those because some of the responses are so different. If someone's eating 1,000 calories a day and they have food noise, well, we have to get them to eat more. And half the time that fixes it. But if all of a sudden you can't have a bad day without raiding your pantry, we actually have to teach you how to regulate your own emotions separately from food. And then all of a sudden that's when your food noise will go away. It's because it has nothing to do with food. It has everything to do with the emotions you don't want to feel. So
obviously you get many different answers. I'm curious from your perspective, when you ask people to tell you what's it saying, what's like the most common response?
It's either hyperfixating about the next meal, or because they're eating so little, or about all the foods they want that they can't have. Or it's emotional. I would say those are the top three. Either they aren't eating enough, and so they're hungry, they're thinking about their next meal, or if they're calorie tracking. It's like, I love the analogy you've given around like money noise. If you have a really little budget, money noise is going to be crazy loud. It's the same thing. Whereas if you're hyperfixating on your next meal and what I should and shouldn't eat, do you have too small of a budget? Are you eating 1,000 calories a day? It's either that, or it's from a restrictive thing. You can't have this list of foods. So of course you're going to hyperfixate on that list of foods that you crave and you suppress those cravings, or it's emotional. It's where there are things you don't want to feel and you don't know how to handle your negative emotions separately and actually heal and feel through them and regulate. And it's usually one of those three is the top ones I see.
I'm interested in diving into the emotional. What do you see with emotional? Like what comes up most commonly? Is it sadness? Is it anxiety? Is it what's happening with people who are having emotional issues?
I would even generalize it more as they are uncomfortable.
Okay.
Because whether it's anxiety, stress, overwhelm, overstimulation, needs not getting met in the marriage, whatever. But at the end of the day, it is something coming up, an emotion that's going, I don't like the way this feels. And food is the only outlet to make me have a moment of relief. Some people will say, oh, it's dopamine. I need it for dopamine. Oh, because I'm bored. I'm in a monotonous job. So you don't like the feeling of boredom, or you don't like the feeling of nothing going on, or you feel like you need stimulation, whatever. Cool. It's still the same thing though. There's something that we are feeling that we don't want to. And then that's where food is the void to fill that, or to suppress or repress or hide those emotions and distract from.
So let's say someone, they're uncomfortable. They don't like how they're feeling. How do you progress with them? How do you work with them to get to a point where they can have a behavior that they're proud of, take an action that they're proud of?
So my thing is, we need to start doing the one thing that we'll just categorize as emotional eating, where we're using food to cope, is we have to do the one thing emotional eating is preventing us from doing, which is feeling. Because imagine this. Imagine, this is the example I always like to give, and I'll give it to you because you have daughters. Imagine your oldest daughter has, say Curtis passes away. Let's say Curtis runs out. And
how dare you?
And unfortunately, I have 3 dogs. So this is why I give this analogy, because like I know how much it hits and it makes people instantly get it.
Yeah.
Imagine Curtis runs out and
oh, you're making this a horrible death.
Yes.
This isn't an old death. This is a horror. Okay,
no,
great.
So,
I'm gonna cry on the podcast.
So yeah, well, yeah. So imagine this. Imagine Curtis runs out and gets hit by a truck. But
you had to make it a truck? Dear Lord.
Curtis is a big dog. But then all of a sudden, your kids see it and they are devastated. What do you do as dad?
Fuck, putting me on the spot.
Let me ask you this. Would you say, shut that shit down? We don't do this. Here's cereal.
No.
Whenever someone, this is why I give this example, because everyone goes, exercise. Holy shit. I'm curious, what would you do?
Man, all right, let me think about this for a second. Fuck, dude, this is brutal. I've never been put in this situation.
Let me put it this way, because I know you're going to give I don't want to say the right answer, but if your daughter is upset,
yeah,
and you swoop in as dad, what are some of the things that would come out of your mouth?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, let's say we're outside, I'd probably scoop her up, give her a big hug, bring her inside, and like just probably cry with her.
That is the perfect answer, because you did, if I had to label it, you held space with her. You created a space for her. You said, what you're feeling is totally allowed here. It's totally okay. And I'm upset too. You said I would cry with her, I would hold her. Two of the greatest things you could do is you are now showing in your actions what is coming up is okay. And it is allowed in this space, in our bodies, in our household. This is allowed here. It's why you also said, if I said, would you say, shut that shit down, go have some cereal, I'll get you a new dog? It's right.
It's laughable.
It's right.
Yeah.
That is exactly what you were doing internally when you emotionally eat. When someone is engaging in emotional eating, and let me say it this way, I know no one knows, they aren't doing this on purpose. I know there's no malicious intent, but I need to get you out of blissful ignorance is whenever someone is engaging with emotional eating. This is why I give that example, because you can't unhear it now.
Yeah.
Every time you go to like, oh, I've had a horrible day at work, I'm going to go get chips. Oh, that stupid dog analogy. It's because
it's a great exercise.
It's because internally, if we want to go down the really deep rabbit hole, we all have, if you want to get into inner child work, we have like in therapeutic modalities, what's called inner family systems, where we have like the childhood version of us inside, or just the emotional patterns that are coming up. And if you were to imagine if you told your daughter, shut that shit down, I'll get you a new dog, you shouldn't be upset, get over it. What would that do to her?
Can't even articulate the devastation.
Right.
Yeah.
Would that probably screw things up for how she regulates her emotions in the future?
Absolutely.
Would that put core memories and principles and narratives in her child brain that are probably going to carry with her forever?
Of course.
Right. So it does no different whenever we do that to ourselves. When we go, I shouldn't feel this, and then we engage in emotional eating, even if it is with zero, like ill intent, like again, most people don't know they're doing this. That is what it's doing inside. It is completely emotionally suppressive, and it is mentally and emotionally unhealthy, because let's zoom this out over a large landscape. When over time we emotionally suppress to the negative emotions, we will over time emotionally suppress to the positive ones as well. We cannot pick and choose what we become emotionally numb to. So if over years, someone emotionally eats and they numb themselves or take the edge off to fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, sadness, whatever these emotions are, yes, those won't be as bad, but you also won't be as happy. You won't be as fulfilled. You won't be as present on Christmas morning. You won't be as grateful, because numb is numb. And then people do crazy things just to feel. that's why I take emotional eating so seriously. And it's one of like the biggest things I love talking about, is because we have to get to the point where we fix our relationship with our emotions. That's all emotional eating is in the same way someone may binge eat because they have a poor relationship with food. One of the biggest reasons people emotionally eat is because they have a poor relationship with their emotions. They go, I shouldn't feel this. I don't want to feel this. These emotions are bad or negative, whereas that means we need to feel them, even if it's uncomfortable. So in the moment, and to get back around to answer your question, when someone is struggling with emotional eating, what am I having them do? Have them understand that's what's going on. And we have to then use tools, systems, and frameworks to get them to feel their emotions that are coming up, just like you would do for your daughter. So where I have people start is there are 3 questions I have someone ask themselves, because most people struggle with this. Most people, if they're not used to feeling and getting in touch with like what's coming up and all this stuff, it can be hard. If I go, just go meditate, that's not very helpful, right? So there's 3 questions I have someone ask themselves, whether they want to journal about these, or I have like right now, I have clients who are really busy moms and they don't have time to sit down and journal because they got a kid on the hip and making lunch. And I'll have them go through this in their head and pair this with like calming breaths to like really like think about and sit with this stuff. Is 3 questions is number 1, what do I feel right now? Like, can we label the emotion? Do I feel fear? Do I feel doubt? Do I feel worry? Do I feel devastation? Do I feel unheard? Even just the sheer fact of asking, what do I feel? You have to create space. If the situation with your daughter, you would go, what's going on? Are you okay? What do you feel right now? Like, it's one of the greatest things you can ask someone is, what do you feel right now? What's coming up for you? Like, one of my favorite questions when I have a client going through something, I go, what's coming up for you right now? Because I want to know, I want them to be able to label it. Because in order to share a space with someone, including yourself, you have to listen. But if all of a sudden this podcast was you just saying, so Jared, tell me this, tell me this, tell me this, and you didn't be quiet long enough for me to answer, then you're not creating space. Part of this is creating space and asking the question, then sitting in silence and going, okay, what's coming up? And actually listening. But most people's egos get in the way here because they go, well, I don't know. And they move on. Well, that was 2 seconds, right? So what do I feel? Can we label the feeling? And then question number 2, where do I feel it in my body? The body absolutely keeps score. And we, a lot of times, naturally label things where it's in our body. For example, I feel anxiety in my throat, feel sadness in my stomach. Or let's say if you're feeling overwhelmed, a lot of people are like, oh, it's like a weight on my back, or my eyelids are so tired, or whatever. I have pressure in my head. We can get really crazy specific with that because all emotions are messengers. So if we can go, cool, what do I feel? Anxiety. Where do I feel it? Well, that's a weird question. You have to almost like scan your body, creating space to feel and go, well, where do I feel it? Sometimes I'll even go like, describe the feeling. Is it electric? Is it like heavy? Is it light? Is it like a ball? Is it like a ball? Like where? And then they have to go, oh, well, I don't know. Because you have to scan and think and process. Then the last question is, if the emotion could talk, what's it trying to tell you? All emotions are messengers. Emotions are also meaningless until we assign them meaning, where people get into trouble. This is where the ego takes over, where people, let's say someone steps on the scale and they feel discouraged, but that goes straight to, so I must be a lost cause. No, but hang on. Let's just stop at the emotion. It doesn't mean, let's stop pulling narratives and meanings. So what do I feel? Where do I feel it? What's it trying to tell me? And if we sit with it long enough, you'll find that the emotions are like, I just want you to be safe. You put a little too much pressure on yourself. If we actually sit and make sure the ego isn't coming in place, well, I should lose weight now or whatever. It's usually just a message around safety, because that's all your brain cares about. So how I start with people that struggle with this is we just have to start asking ourselves those 3 questions. And it is wild how fast emotional eating stops without willpower or discipline, without the desire goes away, because you're actually holding space, creating space, and feeling and processing your emotions for the first time in your life.
That was beautiful, dude. That was incredible. I've been in this industry 20 years. That was a wonderful, eloquent, insightful way to frame that. I've never heard anyone frame emotional eating like that. That was absolutely tremendous. Let's say someone asks themselves those 3 questions. They give themselves the space. They answer them. What can someone expect in terms of time frame, like where they might start to see less emotional eating? Like let's say the first time they do it, get to the end of the questions, they still eat, right? Is that okay?
It's a great question. So in the beginning, so I always compare keeling through and getting away from binge eating, emotional eating, food noise. I compare it to like coming off of cigarettes. Now, I've never smoked cigarettes, but like, I love a good cigar, but like, but the reason I compare it is because I also don't believe food is like drugs. I don't like or like alcohol. I don't like making that comparison. I don't agree with it. But for example, like if someone has smoked cigarettes their whole life, let's say a pack a day, there's not a world where that person is more than likely going to go from a pack a day to 0. That's a lot. There may be, yes, there's some people, but most people aren't going to do that. But if they go from half a pack to a quarter or to a half pack, do that for a while, a quarter of a pack, do that for a while, a few cigarettes, like that is an incredible progress, right? It's the same thing with food stuff. Very rarely does someone go from overeating and binge eating or emotional eating to not. It goes from big binges to slightly smaller binges, to less frequent binges, to, oh shit, I'm doing it again. And I stop binges. It's messy. This is where I do, like most people live in the all or nothing or the black and the white, where the magic is in the messy, murky gray area of the middle. So this is where people need to have grace for themselves, where as they're like quite literally reparenting themselves on how to feel and process and all this stuff, you're still going to overeat. But over time, if you notice, it's less, and smaller, less frequent. And that's what's going to happen. Like I'll tell someone, hey, I don't care if you binge eat after you do this emotional regulation thing. I don't care. But the difference is whenever someone regulates, and we'll just say that's like they're regulating their nervous system or they're feeling their feelings and whatnot, is now eating is more of a choice versus a reaction. Whereas that's where the magic happens. If you want to eat, cool. But let's like hold space for what's here first and create this space and calm down and feel my feelings. And then if you want to eat, go eat. Some people, yes, they may still binge after that. But over the course of time, where instead of going from trigger or the catalyst of whatever to eat, you're now going trigger, feel my feelings, then eat. You are absolutely going to watch your binges get smaller and smaller and smaller and then non-existent. I mean, I'm telling you, we have clients who like, I'm almost sometimes hesitant saying this because it sounds too good to be true, but I can't tell you how many clients who've gone from 30, 40 years of binge eating to a month gone because it's all completely emotional. And if we just start to actually fix this thing at the core and where I'm not feeling my emotions, I'm running from my emotions, it fixes everything. So, but that's why if you want to eat, still eat, but it's a choice now. It's not the stimulus or the trigger happen and I'm running to food as like a trigger, as a pattern. I'm stopping that pattern, putting this new thing in place and then eating if I still want to. I had a client one time, he was struggling with this and it was funny. He had an emotional moment. He DoorDashed a milkshake. Takes like 20 minutes to get his milkshake. And he like journaled these emotions. He's like, fuck, I don't want a milkshake now. Like that's what happens is because you are quite literally putting this new pattern of actual feeling your emotions and regulating before you do the old pattern. And then over time, the old pattern dies.
I personally have found exactly what you said, especially in regard to reducing the frequency. So someone is telling me they're binging 5, 6, 7 nights a week, that you can bring that down to 2 nights a week.
It's incredible.
Bro, it's insane. It's incredible. And then from there, you do that for 2 or 3 months. And then all of a sudden it goes like 1 night a week and then 1 night every 2 weeks. It's not, as you said, this all or nothing. You're doing it and then you're not doing it. It's this slower progression. And there are some people who can go cold turkey and just with cigarettes, but it's relatively few.
Just don't compare yourself to them though.
Yeah.
Like that's
yes.
But this is where a lot of people's ego, what I like to call it, come in because they'll, let's say, go from 5 days a week binge eating or emotional eating to 2, but then they'll have the second one. They're like, I'm such a fuck up. I can't believe I did that. I'm still struggling. Like, hold up. Let's zoom out and look at data for a second. You were going 5 to 2. What world is that not progress? But that's where, again, the old patterns come in that cause problems.
For someone struggling with binge eating, what is some of the worst advice that you've either heard people give or some of the worst things that they could do?
It's actually less about the binge. It's what they do after is they try to compensate for it. One of the worst things you can do that quite literally puts training wheels on the next binge is to compensate for the binge you just had. It's why people get into like this binge restrict cycle is because there's no world where you can undo a binge. Like if you binge, there's not a world where you can, like you're undoing it. Part of this is going, that happened, make peace with it. And then let's move on. Because my thing is there's a little process that I like to think about. If like a binge happened, we need to, first of all, forgive yourself. It's okay. You didn't run over a dog. You didn't cheat on your spouse. Stop acting like that. But then cool, regulate because there's going to be some emotions, those 3 questions, but then now gather data. What led that to happening? And what can I do taking that data for the future? Because patterns just keep repeating until we stop them. But otherwise, the biggest one is trying to compensate, whether it be by really disordered, like vomiting, whether it be trying to burn it off in doing cardio, whether it be fasting, starving, no sugar, giving up whatever, eating really low calorie, anything that is on the basis of compensating and trying to undo it, the worst advice possible.
Completely agree. I've noticed that when people binge, then they'll want to compensate for it. Then they essentially suffer through that whole next day, next couple days, whatever it is, until eventually it builds up, and then boom, they uncontrollably binge again.
I had a client they said they were going through this and they're like, yeah, I overate last night. Hey, I was thinking about just fasting the next day to like compensate. What do you think of that? And I said, oh, you mean starving yourself? So to undo and make a dent from the calories you had? And they went, yeah. And I go, would you?
Exactly.
I said, would you be okay if your son did that? And okay. I love bringing kids into the mix because it makes you instantly have wisdom. Like as soon as someone struggles with emotional eating and I go, would you tell your daughter that you can't, that they can't feel this? And the whole Curtis analogy, they're like, I couldn't even fathom it. I go, so why are we doing it? Like, why are you doing it? Or at this client, I go, would you have your son do that or your daughter do that? Oh, you overate too much cake yesterday at the birthday party? Don't eat today. You are not allowed to eat today. You need to undo that, Sarah. Like, are we kidding? And it brings instant clarity and wisdom. Yeah. I call it, like, we always call it the best friend filter, but I like to use it as like the child filter. Would you be cool with your kid doing this? And if it's not, then stop being a hypocrite and put yourself through the same filter.
That the concept of making up for it is one of the difficult balances to strike as a coach. Because on one hand, we know if you want to lose weight, calorie deficit, and you could do it over the course of a week as opposed to day to day. And some people are like, hey, I overate by like 300 calories last night. Is it cool if I just like reduce my calories by 300 today? I'm with some people and potentially even most, I'm like, yeah, 300, fine. But there's a balance where at a certain point, it's like, no, if you overate by 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, we're not doing that. It's like you just get back on track. It's going to even out over a very brief period of time. But that is a tough balance to strike, and you sort of have to be very—
it's a slippery slope for sure.
You have to be very aware of who you're talking to. And for some people, if they're like, hey, could I reduce by 300 today? For some people, no, absolutely not, because you know where that leads for them. But for other people, it is totally fine. So it is very individual.
Yeah. I mean, I would, for that person, I go, is their relationship with food arguably perfect? No, then no. Sorry. You're not. Are we still having baggage around our relationship with food? Yes. Is this a pattern? Yes. Okay. Do not compensate. Like, get up, dust yourself off, and like, let's get back to business.
Yes. You recently said, stop making your struggles your identity. Can you explain this?
Most people confuse what they do with who they are. As in, most people who struggle with binge eating, it goes from a verb to binging, binge ate. I binged last night. It's a verb, and they make it a noun. They go, oh, this must be who I am. I'm a binger, or I'm an emotional eater. I'm a dieter, or even further, like with a lot of people will, like, as soon as they get like the cancer diagnosis, not discrediting what's going on, but then they take on the identity of someone with cancer. Like this scales like at all sorts of levels. I've even heard like there's medical stories of people getting their patient's room mixed up when the doctor comes in and reads it, and they tell someone with something very minor that they have cancer, and they literally die early because they took on the identity of like, oh, I must be, they believed it to such an extent. The reason it's so important is because we all know the placebo effect is an actual effect. Like if you believe something so wholeheartedly, your physiology changes and your unconscious actions completely change and operate in congruence with the belief. It's undeniable in science. So this is why we have to be really careful about what beliefs we hold. But the identity is who you believe yourself to be. And that's the lens in which we operate everything through. So if someone takes on the identity of they struggle with binge eating, something they did, but they take it on as I'm a binger, and that's just who I am, then it's no wonder you go a couple weeks binge free, but then your identity is what we call threatened from the psychology lens of it, because, well, you're a binger. You didn't binge for 2 weeks. Danger. Let's find a reason to binge. And it just keeps repeating the same cycle. But that's what I mean whenever people take on something that's going on as their struggle, as their identity. Perfectionism, procrastination, I'm an all or nothing person. Like all of these, everything that people struggle with, most people who bring it onto their identity are just signing up for a forever uphill battle, because the psychology behind it is there's a delicate relationship between your identity and your subconscious, because whatever your identity is, your subconscious is the mother bear. It protects it. So when the identity is threatened, the subconscious actions come into the play to cause other things to happen. So if your identity is, I'm a binger, I've always binged, it's who I am, it's what I do, my family is a bingers, I've always been this way, it's who I am. Well, then you go 3 weeks without binge eating, your subconscious is like, oh, well, that's who we are. We haven't done that. Maybe we should binge. And that's when something always tends to happen. It's like a thermostat on the wall. As soon as it gets off, it's like, oh, the AC kicks on to cool things back off. It's the same thing with this identity and subconscious relationship. So,
is there anything that you personally in your life currently struggle with in regard to this? Like something that you struggle with, you struggle to not make your identity?
It's a great question. If anything, right now, because I used to do this a lot. I used to struggle with this for like negative stuff. Where I have to be careful for me personally is the positive stuff. Because like, let's say I put it on the other side of achievement, but then all of a sudden it's still, we have to be careful there too, is because even if it causes like cool stuff to happen, like let's say my identity is, let's say a high achiever, whatever. And then it's easy to unconsciously do high achievement things. But then now all of a sudden it bleeds into like overworking. It bleeds into like, I'm only good enough when I'm executing and producing and all of this stuff. So if anything, that's where I struggle with. Whereas that's why the question of, well, who are you? It's actually not quite a concrete answer. Because you're always changing, your perspectives are changing, and the ego is what likes it to be this defined, this is who I am. But most people confuse what they do with who they are. They're like, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a this. Those are all hats you wear. They're still integral roles of your life. But this is why we have to be really careful whenever we especially have a limitation, a binge eating, all or nothing mentality, whatever, and we make that our identity, you are signing up for an uphill battle.
The all or nothing mentality is a very interesting one to work with. I've often found among all the different identities that people take on, that is the one that is the easiest to use as a justification for not doing what you know you should be doing. Where if you just say you're an all or nothing person, it's the easiest out because you've decided I'm either going to go all in or I'm just going to completely ignore it. And you've just justified not trying at all. Whereas realistically, nobody is an all or nothing person.
Right.
It just doesn't exist because you don't give 100%. Like when you're doing something, you're not always giving 100%. There are always some things that you pick and choose. I'm not going to give everything to it. So what do you see happening with people, or how do you work with people who say they're all or nothing?
So my thing is, before we can fix something, we have to break the belief, because the belief, like the identity stuff, is the lifeblood of actions. Because if you look at most actions, it's in congruence with some semblance of a deep rooted belief. So for me, I have to break the belief first. So whenever someone is struggling with all or nothing, there's a few ways I take it. I go, cool. Where else in your life outside of fat loss are you all or nothing? Can you give me an example? I've yet to have a single person do it. Like, and I go, wait, so you're all or nothing here, but nowhere else? That inherently isn't all or nothing. Like I was chatting with she was like a lawyer client, very, very career driven woman. And she said, and I asked her the same thing. I go, well, can you give me an example somewhere else you might be all or nothing? And she goes, oh, my career. Like when I was in school to become an attorney. I go, oh, awesome. Have you ever gotten a B? She goes, well, yeah. I go, why didn't you drop out? And she's like, okay, you got me. I go, well, I'm not trying to get a gotcha. I'm trying to make your brain go, fuck, that's irrefutable proof that I am not who I claim to be. Because a certainty is the lifeblood of a belief. Uncertainty is the kryptonite. So if we need to break a belief, we need to find and poke some holes in it. It's how a court case handles it. I go, give me another example. I go, and she's like, well, I like getting my nails in. I go, you ever broken a nail? She goes, yeah. I go, do you ever go, well, I'm going to break all my other nails. Like not even like getting my nails done. Like you just broke a nail. Are you going to break all the other ones? Well, no. Well, you ever had an injury? I broke my arm when I was like last year. Cool. Did you break the other one to be even? Like it's so silly. You ever waited till Monday to start over brushing your teeth if you forgot or you overslept?
Yeah.
No, that's nasty. Like so for most people, I'll go through like those and I'll ask them to like show me in other areas in their life. And then it becomes undeniable that like, oh, maybe I'm not that. Cool. I just need a little bit of doubt planted in that. And then the brain will take over the rest. But then the other ultimate question is cool. That's the problem. I had someone who I was on they were an interview call to join the program, and they were like, well, I'm such an all or nothing person. And I said, can I ask you a really hard question? And she goes, yeah. I said, you think that's the problem? And she goes, oh,
What a great question.
Like we're like, well, I'm this kind of person. I go, I know. And that's the issue. Well, I'm just like, I have to have everything mixed up all the time to stay motivated. I know. That's the issue. Well, I'm such an all or nothing person. I'm a perfectionist. I know. And that's causing you to sabotage and ruin and gain all your weight back. Because at the end of the day, most people are validating an identity or a belief system that used to serve them and it no longer does. Imagine you trying to squeeze on a pair of shoes you had in 3rd grade. They just don't fit anymore. They served you then. The old shoes like that, they just do not fit anymore. But imagine how crazy it would be if you're like, no, I have to put these back on because I can't let them go. We're like, no, they serve their purpose when you were in 3rd grade, but they don't fit your adult ass. So let's let them go and get new shoes that are appropriate, that fit. From where you're trying to go, is all or nothing actually serving you? Well, no, cool. We have to break that. That's not who you are anymore. I think one of the most powerful things someone can do is say the phrase, that's not who I am anymore, and pair it with the appropriate action that goes in opposition of that. And then because you are showing your nervous system, not just like an affirmation, this is not who I am. It is, wait, a pattern interruptive. That's not who I am. So who I am is this. And you operate in congruence with that and you will rewrite and rewire these unconscious patterns.
I love those questions that you ask to get them to be like, oh no, I'm not all or nothing. Did you ever get a B? Why didn't you drop out? I love that.
Yeah.
That's genius.
It's the same thing with a lot of these other ones. Like someone said, sometimes I have to be careful because I also like, I get the goal is no one's perfect and I don't want anyone to feel called out, but I was like on a call with someone and they're like, well, I'm such a perfectionist. This is a Zoom call, which means I can see everything behind them. And their house was a wreck. And again, like I get it. Like my house will be a wreck too. Like half the time on my videos, I got shit all over my desk and all of this.
But you're not calling yourself a perfectionist.
Right. But like, how can you say you're a perfectionist while you have a load of laundry there, the dishes in the back, your hair's in a messy bun, and you got shit all over your desk? But no, you're a perfectionist here. Got it. Okay. Like that, this is why we have to be careful because it's arguably lying to yourself unintentionally. But it goes back to the concept of the placebo effect, where if you believe something long enough, it's so true to you. It's the same thing here. We have to be very careful because someone will literally have no signs of something in their whole life except for this one little sliver. Then they will put all their eggs in that basket and then sign up for suffering because of it.
You said the reason you always gain the weight back is because you get results greedy. I fucking love it. Can you explain it?
I would love to. Imagine, here's the analogy I like to give. Imagine you get given let's say it's legal. You get given a money machine.
Oh man, I would love that.
Right. And it spits you out a fresh, crispy $100 bill a day. And it's legal. Like, let's say like the DOR or the IRS gave it to you. They're like, hey, look, you've been such a good taxpayer. Here's a money machine, and it spits out $100 bill a day.
Tax-free.
It's tax-free. It's legal. It's all that. And you're just like, it just every day, $100 bill. But you look on the back and you're like, you see a setting of like, oh, that I can turn it up. You turn it up and you break it. Fuck. Like everyone feels it viscerally, right?
I did.
And
I did feel that viscerally. I was like very excited about that 100 a day. And then I was like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're like, well, damn it. I wish I would have been good with that. Like,
yeah,
it's the same thing here. So many people get results greedy. I should be further ahead. Well, based on what? According to who? From what source? No, you shouldn't be. Your ego is coming into place. This is where a big thing I talk about is like the ego or what we call the old self in psychology is we have to be careful where it gets into the mix because it's really sneaky. Because then that's why like we convince ourselves like, oh, I can handle it. It's not disordered. It's fine. Like it's just not eating the next day. Like that's where that kind of stuff comes in. But results greedy is where something is working, but now you just want more and you want more and you want more. And then you allow your actions to change based on that emotional feeling of like, I want more. And it's dangerous because it's the whole like money machine example is because that's when old patterns slip in. Cause like, let's say you make a small calorie deficit and you're losing a little bit of weight, your clothes are fitting better and things are going well. Well, let's just not fix what's not broken. Let's keep riding that out. But that part of you's like, well, I'd like to lose a little bit more weight. So you drop calories more, you restrict more, you add in more cardio, whatever. But now you may be approaching the land of unsustainability or like it's not very doable long-term, or you feel restricted and binges happen. And it all comes back to stop being results greedy. Results are happening at a slow, beautiful, sustainable pace. Leave it there. The problem is most people's nervous system, and from a pattern perspective, is they're used to speeding things up. They're used to fast fat loss. They're used to all or nothing thinking, but we can only find what we enable. So if you enable those behaviors, we're going to enable the negative results. So that's what I mean by results greedy.
I love that. It's identifying such a massive problem where people are like, I just want more. I want more. It's not going fast enough. Like, according to who? According to what?
I think people don't realize too, that's how your brain's wired. There's a self-defense mechanism with that. Like if you lost 30 pounds in 30 days, part of your brain would go, I want to lose 31. I should have lost 31. Oh, look at that person that lost 33 pounds. That's how our brains are wired.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that's a pattern, like get ahead of it and go, oh, I know in about a month I'm going to get pissed. I'm not getting results fast enough. So I'm going to make my decisions now on what I'm going to do and not do.
I want to make a shift now. We discussed everything that I wanted to in regard to fitness. I just want to talk to you like my brother, dude. How are you?
I'm good.
How's life?
Things are so good. Things are so good. So
business is good. Family's good. Life is good. You're happy.
Yeah, man. Things are literally across the board. They're so good in every capacity. So much is going on right now.
What are you like most excited about in your life?
I have a few things, different categories. Big thing wise, I got my TED Talk. I'm pretty stoked about that.
Super excited for you.
So in May of this year, I'm doing my TED Talk, which is pretty crazy. I'm coming up on a brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
Let's go. Let's go.
So
do you know when that's going to be or no?
I don't. So I don't. They haven't said anything, but the school I go to, they sometimes don't say. Our big professor's coming to town like next month.
Okay.
So I don't know. It could be then, but they may not be ready. I may not be ready for. I don't know.
Yeah.
But last time I got promoted, they threw the last 2 stripes on my purple.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And
when was that?
Earlier or like mid 25.
Okay.
So and I feel like if I do get it, that's a really fast purple belt.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like my game has been doing really well. So there's that. That's exciting. A lot of my health stuff we were talking about even just a few weeks ago. We finally are finding some answers on some of the health stuff I was having. Some of my blood work came back, and there's just some stuff that I'm just completely deficient in. Like my ferritin is on the floor. My iron is terrible. Like a lot of these other things. So there's some small stuff we're doing to affect it. I'm already feeling different. I'm getting some of the deeper stuff worked on, like with some injury things that I've been having from jiu-jitsu. Health-wise, I'm feeling much better, like physically, like and all of that. In the business, I'm super happy with everything. I love the way that the business is growing. I love my team. I love I've never felt more aligned with what I'm doing, but then also how I'm handling that workload. Like even if you were to ask like Shelby, maybe a year.
Your wife.
Yeah, my wife, a year and a half ago, I was stressed way more. I was working a ton, all this stuff where I have probably the best work-life balance I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Where things are so much more peaceful. With just some of the changes that we've made. So things are good, man.
I'm going to ask you a wildly personal question. And if we want to cut this from the podcast, we can.
Okay.
So I've always thought you would be an incredible father, but I know that you've decided with Shelby that you're not going to have kids. Can I ask like why you decided to not have kids? Yeah,
we can absolutely keep this in. So there's, so the easiest answer is Shelby and I have never really, I don't know why, there's probably some psychology behind it and some childhood stuff, but we've never had like this big desire to have kids. And the longer we've been together, the desire, if anything was there, has actually gotten less. And then medically, my wife is narcoleptic. So where like it may not even be in the cards if we wanted to have kids, because at least at the time of recording this, there's not a lot of research on narcolepsy, and the medication that keeps her from sleeping 20 hours a day, she can't be on while nursing or pregnant. Where like, literally, like if we did get pregnant, she'd have to come off her narcolepsy medicine and she would be asleep 20 hours a day. So it sucks. So there's that side of it, but you combine that with we're not sure if we would want kids ourselves. Then that's why I figured that's why we decided the safest decision was I got a vasectomy. But also like, I could always get it reversed if something changed or a new medication came out or whatever, or let's say near-death experience. And I'm like, I have to have babies. Like I could, I could always have it reversed, but it would be detrimental if I were like accidentally like knock my wife out.
Yeah. That makes sense. Did you guys ever talk about adoption or?
We have. We've actually talked if it ever became a bigger thing that we wanted kids. We've talked about that option. Plenty of kids that need a good family.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we've spoken about that a fair amount.
Yeah.
But just, I think it's a wonderful blessing to be able to do that. So, what was the vasectomy like, to talk about your penis?
Bro, I have such a funny story about this. It's one of my favorite stories to tell, is my vasectomy story. So, first of all, if you don't know, for those that are listening, if they don't know, like it is nothing compared to like when a woman gets her stuff taken care of. Like,
oh yeah, no.
Well, but even like they give you Valium coming in, they like might as well like tell you how great of a man you are. Like I'm telling you, it is the most cushy thing ever. Like it is wild how like much they take care of.
Really?
Yeah. Which is also frustrating is because like I've heard like for women to get just like normal, how painful is normal, like pap smears and all of that. And it's painful and all this other stuff. And versus like they're given like prescribed pain medications just like before they like give you topical. Like it's the dumbest thing ever. But the funny story behind it was it's 20 minutes. You go in, snip you, cauterize some stuff, get out.
20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Once she's actually doing the thing. So, but here's the funny story. I have two parts to this. That's really funny. So before the doctor comes in, the other nurse who preps me comes in. It's me, nothing on, pants down, with a little like disposable tablecloth over my stuff. And the girl comes in. She has a mask on because it's the doctor's office. She goes, "I'm here to give you a penis bath." And I go, is that pretty self-explanatory? A penis bath? And she takes it off. She goes, "What did you say?" I go, "Did you not just say you're here to give me a penis bath?" And she goes, "I'm here to tape your penis back." And as she pulls out medical tape and just goes and literally tapes that bad boy back. So they have all the room to get in there and
interesting.
Yeah. And then,
so there was no penis bath.
Well, hang on. Doctor comes in and it's just local anesthesia. They don't like put you out at all or anything. So I'm just chopping it up with the doctor. And she goes, and I go, "How did she tell you the miscommunication we had?" And she goes, "No." And she's like, I thought she said, "I'm here to give you a penis bath." And she said, "I'm here to tape your penis back." And she goes, "Oh, that's what I'm here for." And literally starts like going to town cleaning my balls, which was weird because I would think they would just use like an alcohol swab. Yeah. No, she's like soap and water and
oh, wow. Like so you did get a penis bath.
Quite literally. So, but then the funniest part, after all is said and done, she is stitching me up and she goes, "Weren't you a personal trainer at this gym back about 10 years ago?" And I go, "I was." She goes, "I think you were my trainer."
No way.
And I go, "What's your first name?" Because it was just Dr. whatever.
Did she have a mask on so you couldn't see her?
Right. And it's been a decade. She pulled down her mask and said her name. And I go, "I was absolutely your trainer." And then I said, "What a small world. I taught you how to squat and your balls deep in my balls." My favorite story ever.
What was the recovery like?
So the recovery was, it was weird. It's just weird to have that done. You walk out.
No crutches? Or?
No. Walk down the stairs, hop in your car and you go home.
Really?
Yeah, crazy. Pain didn't start till the next day. It was basically for like a week. Imagine you got kicked in the balls really hard. And
the whole week?
Well, no, not well, like imagine how it would feel once the initial pain subsided. You're just like sore. That's how it was for like a week. Then when I go, okay, it's been like a week, I can go back to working out. I remembered I sat down at a chest press machine just to see. I made sure to like relax my core. And as soon as I lifted it off, it was just like shearing pain. Eesh. And I go, "I'm going home. We're not doing this."
Nope.
No.
I thought you were going to say you accidentally sat on your balls.
No. Negative. No, but, and then it was pretty chill after that. The thing though, that I didn't expect was, during it, they didn't give me enough local anesthesia.
Oh, so you felt it.
So what they say is, she says, "You're going to feel some pressure." And I go, "Okay." And I jolted like,
oh my God.
And she goes, "You felt that?" I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "Ha, ha, ha," and gave me more. But like whenever, cause they basically, graphic warning, they're pulling the cord outside of the scrotum and doing like, clips, cauterize, tighten a bow, whatever they're doing and poking it back in. And they'll do that to both of them. So, and when then they clipped it, she's like, "You're going to feel some pressure." And it was like, they were doing, Yeah. It was. And so like every time she would go down there, I'm like bracing. And then, so.
All right. Maybe I'm not going to do that.
Just make sure they give you enough local. That's it. Make sure they give you enough local. But compared to a pregnancy that you weren't anticipating or wanted to have happen, it's pretty. Yeah. But you're trying to have like a football team out here.
Yeah. We're trying to get as many as possible. We do think about adoption. We've been talking about it a lot recently because, my wife is pregnant with our third and God willing, everything will be okay.
Yeah.
But That would I feel like that would be a really wonderful thing to do. But we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll see. Is there anything in terms of fitness or nutrition or mindset that I didn't bring up that you really want to talk about?
Not in particular. I mean, at the end of the day, my thing is this: when it comes to like the fitness, nutrition stuff, my whole thing is like what you're doing has to be sustainable. Like I have a mantra that I live by, that is, if what you're doing is not doable for the next 10 years, you shouldn't entertain it for the next 10 days. And I think if we make those kind of mental like lines in the sand, it prevents so much negative from happening. It prevents so much struggle, so much bad. If you just go, no, I'm unwilling. This is a core value of mine to do anything that I could not do for the next 10 plus years effortlessly. Not effortlessly, but like where it's practical. I think that's the biggest piece. So
where can people follow you?
So short form, I hang out on Instagram and TikTok at Real Jared Hamilton. My podcast is called Dieting from the Inside Out, everywhere. And then, and literally can shoot me a message anywhere. Check my DMs every day and all that stuff still. So
all that's going to be in the show notes so people can follow you, Instagram, TikTok, podcast, all of it. Man, thank you so much for coming out.
I appreciate you having me on, dude. This has been awesome.
This has been great. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
And congrats on the TED Talk.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure you follow Jared. Again, all of his handles are in the show notes. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify. Give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon.